There was once a time when hip-hop was dominated by gangster rap. The stereotypes around rappers meant that in order to find mainstream success, an artist had to adapt a hyper-masculine thug persona, even if they weren't really about that life. Rappers had to be tough, rappers had to be from a hood. They had to fit a mold cast by the shadow of Tupac and other 90s gangster rappers, until one jaw-dropping rap beef that the world didn't see coming. And no, I'm not talking about Nas and Jay-Z, or Drake versus Kendrick either. See, this specific battle was more than a rap beef. It was a cultural event that would shift the industry. Everything from the way rappers rap to the way they present and move in hip-hop. And it involved one of hip-hop's most dangerous icons, 50 Cent. So let's go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, so you can understand how and why this battle transpired. And I'm sure you want to know who in their right mind would challenge 50 Cent at the height of his popularity. I mean, like, that's crazy, right? Who would have the guts to take on one of rap's pettiest figures? Keep watching and you'll soon learn the rapper who turned 50 Cent into a quarter overnight. 50 Cent. When you hear this name, so much probably comes to mind. From classic hits like In the Club and Candy Shop, to getting shot 9 times and living to actually tell, to producing hit TV series and making savvy business investments. 50 Cent is undeniably a staple in hip-hop, with his debut album Get Rich or Die Trying selling 872,000 copies in the first week alone, making it the best-selling debut album of all time in 2003. And that's just one of the many records 50 had underneath his belt at the time. But see, there was another side to 50 Cent. Outside of the music and his record-breaking songs and album, 50 Cent was known for his mini beefs. He has never been one to back down. In fact, he stepped up most of the time, intensifying the beefs. From issues with Rick Ross, The Game, Cameron, Ja Rule, and most recently Big Meech. 50 is notorious for being ruthless to his ops, with some of his beefs being so bad people got real life hurt, especially with this one specific artist named Ja Rule. Ja Rule and 50's beef stemmed from Ja Rule making claims that 50 had one of his affiliates rob him by gunpoint in 1999. And ever since then, the two have been at odds with each other, with both of their labels throwing shots and disses at each other. No pun intended. At the time, Ja Rule was the biggest rapper in the world, with 2 back-to-back #1 albums in the years 2000 and 2001. These two went at each other for years, and I mean, like, even till this day, the two will still take digs at each other when they get the chance to. But 50 always had the edge on Ja, coming out on top and eventually knocking Ja Rule off his pedestal by successfully branding him as a wankster for not being about the life that he rapped about, and he took that #1 spot from Ja. But what 50 didn't know was while him and Ja Rule were going at each other's neck, his real threat was in the back cooking up his plan to come in and change the game forever. And who, you may ask? None other than hip-hop's very own certified crash out, Kanye West. While his recent antics may have put him in the bad graces with the culture, the old Ye was seen as a breath of fresh air in the rap game back in the day, with his introspective raps that related to everyday struggles we all faced. See, 50 was the reigning king all the way up into the year 2007, when his biggest threat was ready to take his crown. Knowing what you know already about both of these artists today, I know you're probably wondering, how did the beef between Kanye and 50 even start? Or why didn't it start sooner? And we're gonna break all of that down. Just keep watching. Kanye and 50's Clash of Titans of 2007 is debatably one of the most iconic moments in music history. Not because of both of their macho personalities, as Kanye was fairly new at this time, but because of the way Kanye managed to change the world of music. So let's get into it. To keep it all the way on it, I don't think Kanye and 50 actually had any real beef. See, many would say this beef was generated by the public, for the public, and the media egged it on and pushed it as far as they could. And trust me, they pushed. 50 was getting ready to release his highly anticipated third album titled Curtis on September 11, 2007. And Kanye West was set to release his third album also, Graduation, on September 18th originally. Well, then Kanye had the bright idea to move his date from the 18th to the 11th. Now mind you, this is the same day that 50 Cent was gonna release his album. and for a few reasons, this was kinda a genius move. See, Kanye knew the public would put them against each other, and this would boost the sales of not only his album, but 50's as well. And that's exactly what happened once 50 decided to get on board with this plan. And let's just say these two took it as far as it needed to go. Words were flying around, things were heating up. 50 Cent even had made a proposal for Kanye if Kanye outsold him, and that was that he would downright stop making music completely. Yeah, you just heard that right. The Petty King made a bet stating that he would throw in the towel completely. Now this shocked many of his fans, because 50 was the biggest rapper in the world at the time, but it made them tune in even more, adding even more anticipation for the release of both of their albums. Now, although their beef may not have been as serious as 50's aforementioned beefs, the shift in hip-hop resulting from this battle was very much real and serious. 50 Cent and his street tough guy aesthetic, paired with his gritty sound that had been the standard for rappers since the commercial success of early groups like NWA, was up against the nerdy Kanye rocking his pink polos and with his more polished, introspective sound. Kanye's style was ever evolving, and Graduation is one of the greatest examples of that. Seeing Ye parting ways with the soul samples that fueled his two prior award-winning albums, and replacing them with samples from EDM stars like Daft Punk, and pushing the sound of hip-hop into uncharted territory. Their feud was the turning point in the mainstream sound of hip-hop, whether they realized it or not. Because after that, it was noticeable as hip-hop started to accept more diverse styles, and Kanye ultimately paved the way for the next generation of legendary artists like Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole. So how did this battle end? After a long week of fan wars and media takeouts, finally, the first week numbers for both albums were here, and let's just say they were insane. For both artists and their plan, it worked to the T, as both of their album sales combined moved more than 1.6 million units, which was unheard of at the time due to websites like Napster disrupting the music industry with free online music. This was massive for hip-hop, so massive that critics started praising this beef and crediting it with the reviving of physical album sales in the digital age. I did tell you it was massive though. So who actually claimed that #1 spot, and who was the secret machine behind all of this? Because behind every war is a man putting money behind it to win. Boom, so it's Monday and everyone is waiting for Billboard to release the final numbers between 50 Cent and Kanye West. And when they did, it sent shockwaves throughout the entire world. Of course, Kanye was crowned with the #1 spot after selling a jaw-dropping 957,000 copies in the first week for Graduation, while 50 Cent sold 691,000 copies for Curtis. A 200,000 difference. I must say this was insane, and this was not the best day to be 50 Cent, especially since he made multiple claims saying he would retire if Kanye sold more. I mean, and as we know, he didn't actually retire. He basically said, okay y'all, I was lying and I was supposed to win, to say the least. But many of 50's fans were not here for Kanye taking the W. And in fact, they started to flat out blame the record label Interscope for the reason 50 did not debut #1 over Kanye, claiming that the label did not promote the album enough, and even going as far as saying his own label wanted to see him fail because they were tired of him winning. And it wasn't far-fetched, as 50 and Interscope were not really on the best of terms. Meanwhile, Kanye fans basically told them to cope with it. Many of Ye's fans shot down those claims, stating Kanye was just that powerful as an artist and had all the star qualities 50 had, and had beat 50 at his own game. And as you can expect, this went on for the remainder of the week. But many forgot one key part in this beef, and that's Jay-Z. Kanye's friend and mentor was like the money machine and the battery in Kanye's pack during this time. As we know, Kanye and Jay-Z have had their fair share of issues in recent years, but back in the day, Ye and Jay were like brothers, with Kanye being the producer responsible for reinventing Jay's sound, creating some of his greatest hits. Jay was one of the top guys in the game and publicly warned his Rockefeller label about the threat that 50 Cent was. But before 50 burst on the scene with his classic album Get Rich or Die Trying in 2003, Jay-Z was arguably the undisputed champ of hip-hop. So Jay-Z had a motive to want to see 50 turned into a quarter after he basically dethroned Jay. Jay-Z was also the president of Def Jam Records as well. Now, stay with me. Kanye's Graduation album was released through Def Jam Records and Rockefeller Records. Jay had a good eye for talent and believed Kanye's new style and sound had the potential to take over the world. And for that, Jay-Z directly supported this from behind the scenes. He had everything to gain from Kanye West coming out on top. He also knew 50 and his label at the time, Interscope, was having differences. So he wanted to hit 50 while he was at his weak point, which the notorious businessman Jay-Z isn't above doing. I mean, I don't know. If you have Jay-Z on your side, you most likely will win. He's a very big music mogul and have the money, connections, and power to turn things in his favor. So I don't put it past him funding some of Kanye's campaigns during this time to make sure he would indeed take that #1 spot over 50. And 50 Cent certainly believes so as well. Check it out.
When you said when Curtis, the album, and Graduation, when y'all went up against each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great moment for hip hop.
It was.
And you said that if he sold more records than you,
then
you would retire. And everybody felt like he was the underdog at that time.
Yeah, he was.
And y'all had great albums. He sold more. You didn't retire.
You know what happened is, what later, if you look at Jay-Z's documentary, he points that moment out as a point that he beat me. Right? How did he beat me if it was Kanye? It's because he was the president of Def Jam, and they did everything they could to make that work at that point. So it was like, we have to make the numbers.
Oh. You think it was fuzzy math?
Absolutely.
There.
Absolutely.
So now at this point, we've made it past the charts, the gimmicks, the fan wars, and the beef. Well, the beef. Did y'all think that was real? Kanye and 50 didn't really have bad blood. I thought you guys would know that by now. The two actually had a great amount of respect for each other. The two even played their albums for each other prior to the battle, with 50 giving Kanye the advice to choose Can't Tell Me Nothing as the lead single for Graduation. Not to mention they both were present at the 2007 MTV Video Music Awards, promoting their albums and having the time. The biggest takeaway from this beef though, like I said earlier, was the way it shifted the music industry's perception of rappers and birthed a new generation of artists. If it wasn't for Kanye's big win back in 2007, we may not have had some of the bigger names in rap today, like Kenny, Drake, and J. Cole, who became the new voices of hip-hop with a more introspective sound that was less gangsta and more relatable to an everyday person like me and you. This also highlighted how sometimes we need that fire, that competition under us to bring out the best in us and challenge our artistic abilities. Even though this was kinda staged, the point still remains because most aren't. So the question I have for you now is, who are you rooting for back then? Kanye or 50 Cent? Let me know in the comments below. And subscribe for more mic dropping moments just like this one.